everybody.
Hey.
Take two.
Take two. Yeah,
this
we
is-
got about half hour into this show, and then I tried to pull it up on my phone to like see if anybody was like interacting with us on Facebook, and I realized
You told me.
we're not rolling.
So this is what throwing it back to when I used to do a podcast with Billy Finnegan, the Mike and Billy Show.
Right.
This is what we would call our lost episodes.
Yeah, right.
Me and Billy had a lot of lost episodes because we would come into the studio
Okay.
and basically just start talking, and then we get like sometimes 2 hours into a conversation and be like, "You want to just record this?" And
Yeah, right.
Like, you want to do it again?
Yeah, we'll just do
So
it
there
again.
was this time we were actually trying to be live,
Right, we were trying to.
but you know,
We actually have the audio of the first version.
there's 21 minutes of actually a show
Yeah, that we did.
that we did that we're going to do again for you because we appreciate our live viewers.
We do.
Hi, everybody. It is Mike Wendt. This is Liam Stryker with me. This is That Movie Show, and today we are going to be covering This Is Spinal Tap,
Yes.
the fantastic mockumentary from, of course, a rockumentary.
Yes,
Excuse
it's a
me.
rockumentary. It's
The
not a
rock-
documentary.
the
It's not a
rockumentary.
mockumentary. It's a rockumentary.
The 1984 rockumentary by, of course, Marty DeBurgi, famed historian, documentarian Martin DeBurgi. Right off the bat, do you know where Rob Reiner came up with the name Marty DeBurgi?
No, I don't.
Okay, it's a mashup, if you will.
Right.
The kids call them mashups nowadays.
Yeah. Remixes?
Remix of Martin Scorsese,
Okay.
Brian De Palma,
Okay.
Steven Spielberg,
Okay.
and what was Fellini? Something Fellini.
Michael?
No, not that's Michael Flatley.
That is Michael Flatley.
Lord of the Dance.
Lord of the Dance? I went to Lord of the Dance once.
Did you really?
Yeah. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I actually had a genuinely good time.
I'll take your word on that one.
It was at the Boston Opera House,
All right,
and there was violins and Irish dancers, and
as you do.
yeah, you know, it was the Lord of the Dance.
Lord of the Dance, which has nothing to do with Spinal Tap, but you know, Flatley, Fellini,
Music.
Italian, Irish. Sure, why not?
Sure,
but
we'll
that's
get
where
there.
he came up with the Marty DeBurgi name. So there's a little bit of fun trivia for you.
That is fun.
So I guess we should just redo what we did.
I guess.
Because Happy Thanksgiving, first of all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
As we do.
It was a couple of days ago.
A couple days ago.
If you're watching this live, it was 2 days ago. If you're listening to this on New Age Pop,
There you go.
it's last week.
It was last week.
If you're listening to it after Monday,
Mm-hmm.
but after Wednesday of that week,
Sure.
I'm in China.
That's right. You're leaving on, what,
Wednesday.
Wednesday for China for a week.
Yeah.
That is.
Everybody's been telling me because, everybody's a comedian.
Sure.
And they've been going, hey, whatever you do, don't steal sunglasses. Ha 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 ha.
I don't get
and
it.
it's just like, look, I don't care about sunglasses that much. So, of course, I'm not going to actually steal sunglasses. But if I see a panda, all bets are off.
I'm not getting the sunglasses reference.
There was a gentleman who played for the UCLA basketball team. His dad was LeVar Ball, and he stole sunglasses.
Is that what they did?
Yeah, they stole Louis Vuitton sunglasses.
I knew they were held up and they were arrested and all that stuff. They
They
stole
shoplifted at a Louis Vuitton store in Shanghai.
Big Baller Brand is not paying well, I guess.
No. Also, don't be a knucklehead kid and shoplift.
Yeah,
At a Louis
especially in a
Vuitton
foreign
store.
country.
Yeah.
That's never smart.
Yeah, so that's what everybody's been saying to me. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to steal anything unless it's a baby panda. Then I'm going to try and get that thing. I'm going to purchase a baby panda and ship it home.
Fair enough.
Like,
Why not?
yeah.
Why not?
There's a couple of things. That and the DJI factory, which makes all the, like, drones and stuff for,
Okay.
like, filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's in China. So
course
I
it
might
is.
just go factory direct and see if I can get it for, like, pennies on the dollar.
Do you know if that's the case? If they just kind of sell them out of the factory for pennies on the dollar?
Yeah.
You've researched this?
Yeah, well, because there's no shipping, right?
Uh-huh.
You literally just made it. If you need me to, I'll go through the process. It'll be kind of like how when you make your own beer.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you get so much beer that it's less expensive than buying Budweiser.
Okay.
Because, like, Budweiser had to make it.
Sure.
Then Budweiser had to ship it to wherever it was. And all that costs money, so that factors into the price of it.
Okay.
Whereas, like, if you just make it, if you make it, it's just not as expensive.
So this is completely unrelated to
This is Spinal Tap.
Well, even Spinal Tap. But I saw that Coors Light put out this app.
Okay.
I saw it on TV. I was drinking, and I decided to download it. And it's kind of like a point system. I don't completely understand why you're getting points. I see some of the rewards you can get are like a life-size standee of Scott Zolak.
No.
Because that's what I need in my house.
Well, yeah, but
But you're getting point system, and anyone with like OCD like me about stuff, now it's like encouraging me to drink.
yeah, of course it is.
It's worse than getting the notifications from Drizzly like, hey, want to keep the party going at like 10 p.m.? I'm like, yes, I really do. Thank you for reminding me. Jack Daniels, please.
Yeah, right.
Deliver it to my home. But again, none of this has to do anything to do with Spinal Tap.
Except for the fact that rock stars would steal and drink.
They would in China.
And close to China
Sure.
is Japan. And at the end of Spinal Tap, they're huge in Japan.
They are huge. Their record becomes huge in Japan. So let's jump right into Spinal Tap. Let's bypass the Thanksgiving movie talk that we already did, but
Yeah.
Whatever. That's for Thanksgiving movie
We also
talk.
did it on the last episode we found
We
out.
did. So you know what? Go back to our face-off episode
Yeah.
and listen to our Thanksgiving movie talk there because we kind of redid it because neither one of us really remembered that we had done it already. You also did the Adam Sandler talk that we did
Yeah, we
an
did
episode
that.
ago. So plenty of stuff to go back into the archives and listen in the face-off show. Let's jump right in to This Is Spinal Tap.
Yes.
Live direct from hell, the loudest band in England.
I love this movie.
England's
I
loudest
will
band.
repeat this story. I said it on the other version. This is Spinal Tap influenced a project, a multi-camera production final that I did in college.
Okay.
Basically, the class final is we had to produce a half-hour live television show, and I wanted to produce a sitcom, and I had recently watched This Is Spinal Tap,
Okay.
and I wanted to do it about a rock and roll band that hated each other.
A sitcom.
It was a sitcom.
Okay.
So I'll post that on the. It's
You
on
have
my-
it still.
I do. I do
Okay,
have it
so
still. It's
definitely.
on my production company's YouTube page.
Okay.
So I'll post that onto my Twitter.
Twitter, Facebook, yeah.
All of
Send it out there.
All of it. It's a ton of fun.
We also did some talk about the Criterion DVD.
Yes.
Because originally, Rob Reiner, who directed it, and along with, I just wanted to say their fake names. I wanted to be like, no, Nigel Tufnell. No, Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer. The dollar amount has changed depending on where I looked.
Right.
But they got anywhere from $10,000 to $60,000 to write a script for This Is Spinal Tap. Now, any of you know anything about the movie, and of course Christopher Guest's work after that, it's very improvised. There's
Yeah.
more bullet points than there are scripts.
Yeah.
And they pitched it as an ad-libbed, improvised movie. So when they sat down to try to actually write a script, they realized that it wasn't feasible for what they were trying to accomplish.
Right.
They couldn't script what was going to happen. So instead, they took the money and they shot an improvised 20-minute version of This Is Spinal Tap.
Right.
A lot of that ended up, like a lot of the bits they were doing ended up in the final movie. But we were saying that it would be something like, I know you can find it bootlegged in the corners of the internet.
Right.
But it would have been great to put that on the Blu-ray.
It absolutely would have.
And I'm not 100% if it was on the Criterion DVD.
Right.
Because they did one of those. They did a Laserdisc and a DVD Criterion collection, which, to speed up the conversation we had about Criterion as well,
Yes.
Criterion Collection basically hand selects a very, very select number of movies that they deem, I guess, important films. And a lot of them
Yeah.
seem that way, culturally important or artistically important
Or
films.
have a really, really ravenous fan base.
And people that need more than what the average studio DVD would provide.
Correct.
Meaning extensive documentaries on it. A lot of deleted scenes. There was, I believe, 80 minutes of deleted scenes on the Criterion.
Wow.
They have them record their own commentary tracks, which the Criterion one, the guys all got together, Rob Reiner, Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, Harry Shearer, and did a for wrestling fans, a shoot commentary track.
Right.
You know, they did it as themselves. The DVD I have, which was put out by the studio,
characters?
is in character.
That's amazing.
And their in-character disdain for the movie is fantastic. Everybody's dead. Every person that comes up on screen, oh, there's Ian. Ah, he's dead.
That's so funny.
Everybody's dead. And it's I don't know which, like, I'd love to have the other one.
Right.
Which, again, I'm sure if I dug through the internet, I could find it.
Yeah, you could find it, but...
But that's something I would love Criterion to get back the rights to it and put out a Blu-ray on that one.
Oh, man.
Slightly off topic, but kind of the same thing. I highly suggest people go and watch the Tropic Thunder commentary track.
I was just going to bring that up.
Because it's Ben Stiller and Jack Black commenting on the movie as Ben Stiller and Jack Black.
Right.
But then it's Robert Downey Jr. in his character fulfilling the prophecy laid out in the movie that he doesn't break character till after the DVD commentary.
Well, the best part about that performance, too, is he also breaks down as the character breaks down.
Yes.
So he stays as the, I forget the colonel's name or the
I know,
black officer that he's
Yes.
playing. But then when he's Kirk Lazarus at the end of the movie, he's an Australian. And then he finally, when
he
the
goes
credits
through
roll,
all of
is
the
Robert Downey
yes.
Jr.
And again, it's like it's almost like watching another movie.
It is.
It's fantastic. It's such and it was something when we were having our Criterion conversation. One of my favorite movies is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And Criterion put that out on DVD and Blu-ray and did 3 commentary tracks. Terry Gilliam did one, who of course directed it. Hunter S. Thompson and his assistant did one. And then Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro did one. And each one has such different views on how the movie was made. It's like I said, completely watching a new movie.
Right.
Same
and it's always
visual.
interesting to see the different perspectives.
Absolutely. It digs you so much deeper into it. And a good commentary track, that's my jam right there. And, yeah, so the Spinal Tap one in character, hilarious, but also something I'd like to hear the other side of.
Right.
Apparently, this is Spinal Tap. While it looks like they're on a U.S. tour to promote Smell the Glove,
Yes.
their new album, never left Los Angeles. They
Okay.
filmed 100% of it in L.A.
Yeah, well, because when you hear what the budget was,
Right.
that makes a lot of sense.
Sure, but then there was one scene that like always threw me until I started doing research for this, which of course was the Elvis gravesite.
Oh, right.
And they recreated Elvis's grave in like somebody's backyard in L.A.
That's amazing.
Which now I absolutely, as an Elvis fan, want an Elvis gravestone. Like, how does his website not sell those?
Right.
Morbid much, but yeah, I would love one.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun to just have in your backyard.
And speaking of that, as an Elvis fan, they absolutely butchered Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah.
Butchered it. I know it was on purpose. I know they purposely were butchering it.
Yeah.
But apparently that was also the only Elvis song that they could afford the rights to.
That's really
Everything else was just far too expensive.
That's
They
really
wanted to do Hound Dog, but that was, as you could tell, there was a hound dog made out of flowers by the gravesite, and they wanted to do that,
right.
but they couldn't afford it, so they went with Heartbreak Hotel.
That's funny.
Fun little facts.
I also wonder, how do you go about securing the rights to stuff like that?
I would love to know that.
Because I don't actually know.
As TV producers, that's something we should probably know.
Right. Well, because every place that I've ever worked, I've just bought copywritten, like royalty-free music.
Right.
Like I've never,
Like the music
I've never
that opens
even
the show.
bothered because I don't know where to start.
Right.
But it's just like, how expensive is it to actually have that song?
Where does my email chain start?
Right.
And what dollar amount am I going to be looking at?
Right.
Like, if we wanted to open our show with an actual song, as
Yeah.
opposed to the royalty-free rock thing.
Right. Who do I have to email, and how much does it cost?
The funny thing is, this is just me, complete common sense spitballing. It feels like something like, even if you knew, like, the musician,
Yeah.
I don't believe that's how it goes either. Like, you
No.
can't, like if you're hanging out, okay, let's use Dropkick Murphys for example.
Right.
If we wanted to open with Shipping Up to Boston,
Right.
and we were sitting with Ken Casey,
Yep.
I don't believe he could give me the rights to it
Right.
because you'd have to go through the record company, I believe.
Right. I believe because
I'm sure he could tell me who to call.
so a friend of mine is a manager. He's a real band manager.
Okay.
For Shinedown, the band Shinedown.
So he is the Ian Faith of.
Yes,
Shinedown.
he is. He works for Indigoot Records, and
I'm just trying to keep us on topic.
yeah, but I'm going to email him and ask him because I'm like, hey, if I wanted to use Shinedown,
Right.
do I need your permission to use it because you're like in charge of their like money and intellectual property?
I would again. I would imagine it goes back to
The record company.
The record company. So I'm sure it's a good place to start.
Yeah,
I'm sure talking to him, he'd be like, "Well, no, but
go here.
here's an email that will get you started, and then you're probably going to have to go through a few different
Right.
tiers of emails to actually get to that point."
I'm gonna start this because I'm going down to New York on Sunday night,
Tomorrow.
so tomorrow,
Wow.
and I'm going to be staying with him. So I'll ask.
There you go.
I'll ask.
And you know what? Tweet it out.
I will.
There you go. Because I'm sure everyone wants to know
Right.
how to secure licensing rights to songs.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of curious.
Well, because I work with so many people. Like, one of the companies that I work with is Chaotic Wrestling.
Yeah.
And Chaotic Wrestling is a wrestling promotion that puts on live shows.
Sure.
And the wrestlers come out to copywritten music. So
Kinda
if
like
they were to release it on DVD or online, they'd get flagged or they'd get sued.
I mean, it's why ECW is completely changed their network.
Right.
If you go to WWE Network,
Yeah, because they don't have the
it's
rights
all
to
like
any of those songs.
just terrible royalty-free copies of the songs.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
so that was big for them when that all happened. People were like, oh, but what about the music? And well, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul has come out many times and said, we just stole it.
Yeah.
We aired it on TV, but that was illegal.
Right, it
We
was
didn't
illegal.
clear
What
any of
happened
it.
was illegal. And so it'll be interesting to see what would it actually cost for this wrestler to license that music as
Right.
their entrance theme.
Right. If they wanted to actually make some money off of their matches with an entrance.
Right.
Right.
So,
I don't know.
interesting.
I don't know. I bump into it with YouTube all the time.
Oh, all the time.
Terrible.
Everybody.
Terrible. Their automated system is horrible. Every one of these videos always gets flagged.
Right.
And it's like, no, that song is I'm allowed.
Right.
I'm specifically allowed. That's why I picked that song. If I was going to accept a flag, I'd actually use a real song.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, Spinal Tap. Back into it. Let's get right into it. Where we meet the guys. Of course, Martin DeBurgi opens it up,
Right.
telling of the
Sets the stage.
yeah, he paints the picture.
Yeah.
As many filmmakers do, they paint the picture, and tells us of England's loudest band.
Loudest.
That's their credit. England's loudest band. Of course, David St. Hubbins, Nigel Tufnell, Derek Smalls. The band started when David St. Hubbins and Nigel Tufnell were young children. They talk about their
Right.
original song that they wrote, All the Way Home,
Yeah.
which sounded very much like something that a hobo would sing in like a 50s train road movie.
Yeah,
He'd be
right.
sitting there with like a stick with a bandana with every one of his belongings in
A
it, which
bindle.
I never understood how that worked. I'm like, how do you? That's not a great way to pack or
Right.
carry
It's a
your
hobo
stuff.
bindle.
It's a hobo bindle. But they in the '60s named themselves the New Originals because, well, there was already a band named the Originals, so they
Right.
were the New Originals. And then the original Originals broke up, and then they're like, well, do we call ourselves the Originals again, or stuck with the New Originals?
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
You following us yet? Good.
Yeah. It'll make a good cross-eyed.
37 members of Spinal Tap, 32 of them drummers,
Yes.
going all the way back to, what was his name? Stumpy Pete,
Stumpy Pete.
played, of course, by Ed Begley Jr., John Stumpy Peeps. And did you know that the drummers' names,
I didn't.
but they have a significance to them.
Oh, really?
The drummers' names are referencing all the people who played the third Stooge in the Three Stooges.
Really?
Yep. That's why if you look at the very last one, the very last drummer, after one drummer blows up and they cut back and there's a new drummer there,
Okay.
Joe Besser. Joe Mama Besser. And Joe Besser was he was like the last third Stooge with Mo,
Right.
Larry, and then of course there was Curly, Shemp, Curly Joe, Joe Besser, and there was one other in there.
Mo?
No. It was a third. So there's Mo and Larry.
Of the third.
And then the third one has always been Curly, Shemp, Like I said, Curly Joe, Joe Besser, and there was one other stooge in there. I had it in front of me, and I flipped around and lost it. But that's they were in reference to that third stooge. A lot of cameos. A lot of cameos. We let's see. I'm trying to remember what we talked about in the last episode.
I know. The first cut.
Right. The first 20 minutes of this. So the mimes
right.
At Bobby Fleckman's party. Of course, Bobby Fleckman was played by Fran Drescher.
Yep.
The mimes were waiters.
Yes.
Two very well-known waiters, actually.
One I got right away.
Mime is money, man. You can tell that that voice from a mile away.
Right.
And it's a Rob Reiner movie, so of course, mime number one, Billy Crystal.
Correct.
Now, mime number two, the one he was talking to, the blonde-haired mime that was waiting throughout the cocktail reception, a very young Dana Carvey.
See, that one is shocking.
Yeah, Dana Carvey in that. This is Spinal Tap. Another another cameo that of course comes up. We talked about Ed Begley Jr. playing the drummer. This one's a reference for us 80s kids. Joyce Hyser, I believe, is her last name. It's
okay.
Hyser. And this was one I actually didn't pick up on until my viewing last night.
Yeah.
And this is one of those movies I've seen probably 50 times. And there was a scene where Paul Schaefer, another cameo, by the way.
Yep.
Paul Schaefer playing the record PR guy, at one of the radio station PR guys, I believe.
Yes.
Who was pushing Smell the Glove, comes in, he's introducing himself, and Derek Smalls and Nigel have two women in bed, and they introduce them as their friends. They got some new friends here.
Right.
Well, the dark-haired one was Joyce, who, of course, is known from Just One of the Guys.
Yeah,
the 1985.
Which, now that I can actually see her picture, you're right.
Now you're starting to remember.
I know who it is.
Okay. Yeah, Just One of the Guys.
It's funny because that was the moment where I tried to pull it up so I could see her.
And you realized
and then I realized we weren't live.
We had wasted 20 minutes of our lives.
Yes.
Well, we're back around that 20-minute mark, so thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you for joining us live. Tell your friends. Share. Who else shows up in this movie? Throw out some cameos at me. The manager of Christ. What was his name? Of course, Fred Willard plays the colonel on the army base.
Yep.
The guy I'm thinking of, WKRP in Cincinnati.
Okay.
You know exactly who I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Everybody in this movie, to me, was like, oh, yeah, I'd seen them in that thing before.
Right. There was just so many faces that would come in and be like, oh, that's that guy.
It feels almost like a scary movie type of deal for, like, the 80s.
Kind of.
Where it's like, I didn't watch any of this stuff, like, firsthand.
Right.
So, like, all of this stuff is just, like, weird scattered nonsense for me. But that's how I feel. That's how I feel about this movie having, like, a more eclectic knowledge of television and film.
Howard Hessman. That's who I was thinking of course, WKRP in Cincinnati. Howard Hessman, yeah. He was the road manager. He was playing Terry Ladd. He was the road manager of Duke Fame, who was the artist that the musician they met in the hotel in Memphis right as they were being canceled.
Right.
For like the 14th. That's what I loved. It was a movie about canceled concerts.
Right. Well, it was
place
about
they
a rock and roll band that just couldn't rock and roll.
Right. They get to the hotel and they're trying to check in, and instead of 7 suites, they gave him 1.
Right.
And he's like, well, how am I supposed to fit 14 people in there? Well, we have a very nice king leisure bed. You want me to put 14 people in a king leisure bed?
Yeah, right.
And then, of course, they're like, oh, by the way, some more bad news. The show's canceled.
Yeah.
Show's canceled in Boston. Don't worry. Not a big college town. Great line.
Yeah, right. Right, don't worry. It's not a big college town.
Ian was like the unsung hero of this movie. Their road manager, Ian Faith. And
well, he drives the story along for, like, from bit to bit because he, like, kind of plays the straight man a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he definitely is just the foil for a lot of this nonsense.
And I guess, it's a 50-50. It's kind of a sad story, but it ends up being better. Apparently, the actor who plays Ian, Tony Hendra, I'm going with, right before the movie started filming, was suffering from depression, and he said literally the day before they started shooting, he almost killed himself.
Oh my God.
But the amount of fun he had on this shoot
Yeah.
helped battle that depression, came out on the other side, and all is well with
That's
the world.
great.
So it ends up being an okay story. We did talk about the 20-minute short, right?
Yes.
Okay. Favorite song? Let's go favorite song.
Favorite song?
Yeah, favorite song.
Us. It's got to be Stonehenge.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm such a fan of Big Bottom. Like, legitimately, I listen to that in the car.
Big Bottom's a good one.
Well, that's the bass line of Big Bottom. All three of them playing bass guitar.
The reason I love Stonehenge is just because of all the nonsense that happens on stage.
See, you like the actual Stonehenge performance.
Yes.
I wouldn't go so far as to say the song was fantastic.
Yeah, no, the song's not that good.
But having the Stonehenge monument in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
Yeah, right.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. So, yes, you're right. Big Bottom is a far better song.
Another fun cameo as far as the Stonehenge is concerned. Do you know the woman who made the Stonehenge monument is Angelica Houston?
Really?
It really is. 18 inches on all sides.
18 inches.
It's not your job to be as confused as Nigel. Another underlining thing that I absolutely found hilarious that ran throughout the movie. The rotating herpes. All the band members having like rotating herpes sores on their mouth.
Right.
Outstanding. Like one scene you'll get Nigel with it. The next scene you got Derek with it. The next scene you get, Michael McKee and
Right.
David with it. And yeah, just rotating around the mouth, meaning they're all loving those same unclean women.
Oh, right. Yes.
As you do.
As you do.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. We'd be remiss, of course, we can't talk about Spinal Tap without making reference to that famous scene where Nigel is taking Marty DeBurgi on the tour of his guitar library.
Yes, and he finds the amp.
Finds the amp that goes one louder
Yeah.
than all other amps.
It goes to 11.
This one goes to 11, which is literally, I think that line is almost even more famous than the movie itself.
Oh, it is.
Like, there's probably people that know that line
That have never seen this movie.
that don't, like, if you said, oh, that's from Spinal Tap, they'd look at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, my cousin Joey said it to me.
Yeah, right.
He created that line. It was funny when he said it.
Yeah.
No, he's a thief.
Oh, God, it's so funny.
That's a funny thing. That's there's a lot of movies I believe that are like that.
Right.
Where you'll say something and it's like people. It's just like, okay. For example, I bet you if you polled 10 millennials, 9 of them would not know what movie "Show Me the Money's" from.
Yep.
But they know that phrase and they know the cadence of.
Or
that
you
phrase.
had me from Hello.
Mm-hmm. So many of them, and this one goes to 11. Or we're gonna every rock radio DJ. Jesus, I said it on ZLX how many times?
Right.
We're gonna crank this up to 11.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the prouder moments, I got to play Spinal Tap on ZLX.
That's cool.
There's been a few moments in my radio career, and playing Spinal Tap was definitely one of them.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a fun place to work.
Yeah, I love that. And to some extent, hello, Cleveland.
Oh my God, that I guarantee you, because The Edge talked about from U2, of course.
Yeah.
Talked about how accurate it was.
And of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark fame.
That is true, that as well.
Yeah, him and Bono wrote the
he's killed
Spider-Man
many
Broadway
Spider-Men.
disaster that was
U2
Spider-Man Turn
is
Off the Dark.
U2's the greatest Spider-Man villain that never was.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, so he's been quoted as saying that there was moments in the movie where he wept because of how accurate. He didn't find it funny.
Yeah, right.
There was a lot of rock and roll guys, like Ozzy Osbourne was another one, didn't find it very funny. I'm guessing the Hello Cleveland, that was one of those scenes.
You're right.
Where you're just like, God damn it, we've been lost before.
Yeah, right. We've been lost running around. We don't know where we're going.
I love when the janitor's giving them directions, and he's like, all right, you want to go down here. You're going to take a left. You're going to take another left. You're going to do a little jog down there. And Michael McKean goes, that sounds exhausting.
Right.
And they're just running around, rock and roll. Hello, Cleveland.
Hello, Cleveland.
All
yeah.
carrying their fucking instruments, because why not?
Right. They're just wandering around this backstage area. God, it's
Were they
so
even in
funny.
Cleveland? Were they even in Cleveland?
Well, I don't think. Yeah, they were in Cleveland, right?
They would have to be, I would hope.
I would hope.
That would all of a sudden make that scene even funnier if he was just yelling "Hello, Cleveland" for no good goddamn reason.
And doesn't Stonehenge happen right after that?
Very shortly, which is surprising because that was they get lost at one of the few gigs that isn't canceled.
Right.
The scene that preceded that, of course, in the dressing room.
Yep.
Another one that probably some musicians took a little too close to heart.
Right.
Where Nigel is just kind of bitching and having a minor panic attack over the food.
Yeah, right.
The size of the sandwich bread, and he just keeps folding it. And he's like, well, "Why do you keep folding it? Stop folding it!" He's like, "Then you got to do this, and you got to fold it over. You got to fold it over. And look, it's just broken." He's like, "No, it's a joke. It's a fucking joke. I'm not going to flip out over it." It's like, yeah, there's a few. I mean, you hear stories about these all the time. If you go to, there's websites where you can find musicians' riders.
Oh, that's amazing.
And some of the stuff is absurd.
I deal with comedian writers a lot.
You do at Laugh Boston,
Yeah.
right?
Like, I have to deal with comedian writers and stuff like that. And, like, some of them are very simple. I mean, you get these writers, for the most part, and they're very, very, like, scary of, like, I need X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But then you meet them, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, really, I just put that in there so that, like, I don't get hosed by, like, a place that has no idea what they're doing.
Right.
You know, it's not really because I deal with, like, all of the technical end of things, not, like, the sandwich platter that they need, or, like, they need dog food for their dog.
Not securing 52 brown M&Ms so Ozzy could go on stage.
Yeah, right. Not that. Although that's a great line in Wayne's World 2.
Wayne's World 2. Now, the shop owner and his son, they were a story all their own. We had to beat them to death with their own shoes.
I love that movie.
That character made that movie.
He did.
The movie itself is not fantastic. It's
No.
not a great sequel.
No.
But that character, again, very reminiscent. Like, he could fit into this movie very easily.
Right. And he's got this drugged, dazed off look whenever he's telling
all
a story.
the time. It's like that was his Vietnam.
Yeah. We had to beat them to death.
Their own shoes.
It's like, oh my God.
With their own shoes. I fucking love that.
It's a nonsense movie.
Another one. Just another nonsense rock and roll movie.
Yeah, right.
Why is rock and roll so fun?
Because the characters are larger than life,
Sure.
right? And we all have these ideas of what a rock and roll, like, megastar is.
Mhm.
And it's just so fun to watch that person in the real world.
Right.
You know, because while Tommy Lee, or Slash,
Sure.
right, is this larger-than-life musician, him, Slash, living his every day-to-day life as who we think Slash to be is hilarious.
Right.
You know? Why do you think that Gene Simmons got his own reality show? Because he basically took that concept of, like, I'm going to play the Kiss demon, right? I'm going to play that in my everyday life.
Right.
And I'm going to act as if that is how I live my life.
As you do.
As you do.
As you do.
And that's why it's funny.
Fun fact, share my birthday with Slash.
Really?
Same birthday, July 23rd.
Cool.
Me, Slash, Sean Thornton, formerly of the Bruins,
Sean Thornton.
and Don Imus.
Oh,
Hmm.
Don Imus.
Interesting birthday party.
That
we would
is
have.
an interesting birthday party you can all have together.
Now, I'm not sure if the next show was Stonehenge or if the next show was the Pod Show.
Oh, yeah.
The infamous Pod Show. Let me see if I can find that here. Which, of course, I what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where does this band find the money to produce all this stuff? But they were like, oh, we can't do masks. Remember at the end when the girlfriend was trying to make them up to basically be Kiss?
Right.
You know, she was doing the
They were going to be animals.
yes. And Ian's like, do you know how much money it would cost to do that? Well, I give you Exhibit A, the mechanical fucking pods,
Yeah, right.
where, of course, 2 out of 3 work.
Right. Yeah, right. He couldn't get out.
He couldn't get out there, blowtorching it open. And then, of course, right as the song's ending, it pops open. He jumps out, turns to run back, and gets stuck. It basically eats him like
A Venus flytrap.
Yes, like a Little Shop of Horrors, basically.
Yeah.
Just chomped on him. So we had that show. We had the Stonehenge show, which, of course, we talked about.
Right.
But then another scene that I believe lives in movie infamy, the famous airport scene.
Oh, right.
Going through TSA.
Yes.
And do you have a limb or something, an extra, an artificial limb? And, of course, he has a cucumber
Right.
wrapped in tinfoil. As you do.
As you do.
When you're going through airport security and you are a rock and roll band, you got to make that dong hang low.
Right. Yeah, right. You got to impress the ladies.
Yes.
Got to
And,
impress
yeah.
the ladies.
Fun fact, the people making announcements in that airport were the band, not using English accents.
Oh, really?
It was the actual guys.
That's fun.
When they're in the hotel room, and Derek Smalls comes into the other room and brings Michael McKean and Christopher Guest in, and he's like, oh, they're playing something from your past, and they're listening to their old song. The DJ on it was Harry Shearer
Oh, cool.
doing his DJ voice.
Oh, cool.
Which, of course, says somebody who's done limitless characters on The Simpsons.
Right.
Fantastic voice
Right.
the guy's got. Where do we take this here? So then okay, I know exactly. Then the chick comes on tour. The
Right.
Yoko comes
The
on
Yoko.
The Yoko comes on tour right as they're presented with the alternative album cover for
Right.
Smell the Glove, which still to this day, I don't know what it is about the line delivery, but it tickles me where you
Right.
just hear
It just hits your ear.
over the loudspeaker, David, Smell the Glove is here.
Yeah, right.
For some reason, that just fucking tickles me. There's little things that
Smell the
just
glove.
tickle me, and that is definitely one of them. David, Smell the Glove is here. And, of course, the cover, which could not be
Blacker.
more blacker.
Yeah, it could be more black.
You look at this and say, could it be any more blacker? And they say none. None more blacker.
None more black.
None more blacker.
So funny.
Going to the record store to try to promote the album, hilariously, there's the shelf, which, of course, if you're just watching and casually watching,
Right, you don't notice.
it looks like a black shelf, but once you put that in your brain, it's like, holy shit, that's a shelf of their record, and it is just a wall of blackness.
Yeah,
They didn't
right.
even put the songs on the back. It was just a double-sided
Black
album.
So funny. Because that's the type of nonsense that's why I don't think real musicians enjoyed it. Because that's the type of nonsense that happens.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. You're going to run into stuff like that, when your album covers are what they are.
Right.
I mean, you can't have a greased up naked woman with a leather glove being shoved with a dog collar.
Yes.
With a dog collar being shoved in her face. But later, surprisingly, and when they released the album Bitch School,
Right.
completely cool. You know why? They put a graduation cap on her, so she was learning.
She was educated.
It was an educational day with Spinal Tap and their
So funny.
leather-clad woman with a dog collar and a leash and a leather glove. But as long as she's learning,
Yeah.
that is the most important part.
Because knowledge is power.
Exactly.
Knowledge is
power.
G.I. Joe.
Moving right along into the what was the girlfriend's name? Janine?
Janine.
The Janine era of Spinal Tap. Getting
Yeah.
booked at Air Force bases,
Yep.
where, of course, all the wireless equipment was communicating with the tower.
Right. It's just a tragic comedy of errors. All the way around.
Getting
with
bottom billing under puppets.
this. Yeah.
It's supposed to say Spinal Tap and Puppet Show. I told them you should get top billing. But don't worry, the dressing room's pretty good. Oh, wait, we got a bigger dressing room than the fucking puppets. Again, just if the shows weren't canceled, they were terrible.
Right. Right. And they should have been canceled.
Every one of them.
Like, this band is horrible.
When you're simply known for being the loudest band,
Yeah,
that's
right.
not a compliment.
Yeah, right. You're just loud.
That's a terribly large compliment. It's just you're loud. anyone can be loud.
Yeah,
but of
because
course,
you turned your amps up to 11.
that's right. When you need that extra little kick, these go one louder.
They go one louder.
One louder.
It's just so funny. Well, why don't you just make 10 the loudest?
But this one goes to 11.
This is-
I mean, we could sit here and this isn't really a review. We could just sit here and quote the movie all
yeah,
fucking
right.
night.
We could just quote the movie, and you would get the whole movie.
There is actually a fun special feature on the DVD, which is Catching Up with Marty DeBurgi.
Okay. I'm surprised that there isn't a karaoke version of all of their songs.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
In 2017, definitely. Yeah, Catching Up with Marty DeBurgi, where of course he takes a look back on the life that was,
Yeah, the experiences.
everything he's gotten to experience since Spinal Tap, and where he's come and gone, and how the guys, don't talk to him anymore.
Right. Right. Because as you do.
As you do. Interesting bit of news. I actually, while doing the research, this was actually reported of June of this year. Apparently, Derek Smalls is looking to release a solo album.
Oh my God.
I shit you not. Harry Shearer, who of course plays Derek Smalls in the movie, is looking to put out an actual album.
That's so funny.
He did an interview with GQ, and he said it's going to basically feature some aging rock stars. Peter Frampton was one of the ones he threw out there.
Okay.
A lot of the songs are going to be about erectile dysfunction.
Oh.
Memo to My Willie.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
But while I was reading that, apparently Harry Shearer is also in the middle of a $125 million revenue fraud lawsuit over this movie.
Really?
He is claiming, let me see, where is it? That through the course from 1984 till 2006,
Wow.
they've only received $98 in royalties from the movie
What?
and $81 in merchandise royalties.
What?
I mean, I'm reading it on the internet, so it's obviously true.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
You should only read the first source you see on the internet.
absolutely. I mean, he did tweet it though.
Don't look further.
Like Harry Shearer tweeted it, going
Really?
up against, and he named the two production companies to ensure fair play for the movie Spinal Tap.
Wow.
So I mean, I don't know. That seems-
$93.
98.
$98.
I think you got more for that Bruce Willis movie that you jumped out of a helicopter.
I got more in the last check that I got a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and they're saying from 84 to 2006, that's all they received. $98 in movie royalties and $81 in merchandise royalties.
That's insane.
That seems like a loophole that somebody just forgot.
Yeah.
It's like companies shifting hands and whatnot, and all of a sudden we forget to just send out royalty checks
Right.
for like 10, 20 years, 30 years even.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of insanity. But yeah, so $125 million he's saying he's owed, which I believe is accurate.
That does seem accurate.
Spinal Tap has made numerous top 100 movies to see before you die list.
Yep.
Of course, we've mentioned, I'm not sure if it was in this one or the last one, but I'll mention it again. The United States government feels that it's an important film in the history of film, so they have put it in the historical registry of film
I would
to
love
preserve it.
I would love to think that it's just some guy's living room and there's a DVD shelf, and those are the movies that are in there.
Well, they're original film prints in the
Oh.
registry.
That's cool.
I would love to see that.
That would be cool.
That's almost like going over Quentin Tarantino's house and having all those cool 35 millimeter reels all over the place.
Yeah, just minus the feet stuff.
Yeah, you gotta watch the feet stuff. At least he got consent on the feet stuff.
Right. Right.
He put it in movies. It was part of the script.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and we talk about that it was filmed completely in California.
Yeah. I don't know if it was this one or the other one.
Again, yeah. So
It was filmed completely in California.
it was filmed completely in California. Their entire United States tour was in Los Angeles County, and including remaking the Elvis graves.
That's cool.
Which, yeah, we definitely talked about because we talked about the licensing rights and stuff.
Right.
So that was this one. Okay, we covered that.
Yes.
And I believe that would almost do it for
Yeah.
covering This Is Spinal Tap. Of course, towards the end of the movie, they have to do the band breaks up, then they get back together.
Right, of course.
And all this stuff. When Nigel runs into Ian and he's like, oh, by the way, it's, like you said, big in Japan now.
Yeah, it's
so
big
they go
in
on
Japan.
a Japan world tour. Oh, lost my light. Awesome. And then they have the big triumphant return on stage in like one of the most random, like, what was that concert? Because that was a packed house.
Yeah, it was supposed to be in Japan, right?
No. That was when Nigel showed up backstage at their show, and he wanted to pass along the information about Japan.
Oh.
And he was sitting on the side stage, and the girlfriend was across. I remember they were kind of giving each other daggers.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Michael McKean kind of gives him the "come on out here" type of move.
Right.
And he runs out to a screaming ovation of the crowd.
Yeah, because people know who he is.
Of course. Well, I mean, they went to a Spinal Tap show. They should.
Yeah, you're right.
But for that concert, that was a pretty sold-out house.
Yeah.
That wasn't, an army base with a puppet show type of crowd.
No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. It wasn't even Cleveland.
No, it definitely was not Cleveland because they got lost in Cleveland.
Yeah. Maybe it was California.
I'm going with California.
It's probably California.
It was definitely within the Los Angeles County area.
Yeah. Bunch of drug addicts just stumble upon a rock show.
Overall, favorite scene?
It has to be Stonehenge.
Okay, so you talked about Stonehenge. Not so much scene, but I was going to say, like, for me, I found it the thing we talked about before, the rotating herpes.
Right.
That theme, and it's so subtle, nobody really draws attention to it.
Right.
But it's like, he had that yesterday.
Yeah.
And he had that tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. I love the childlike stupidity that they all have.
Right.
Of like their disassociation from reality, where it's like, your rock and roll band is terrible. Like, your shows keep getting canceled, yet you still act like you're the biggest rock and roll band of all time.
Absolutely. Rock and roll, man. That's what you got to do.
Right.
You can't let them win.
Yeah.
By letting them believe that you don't believe in yourself.
Right.
It's a motivational thing.
It is. It's a self-help sort of situation.
Spinal Tap is a motivational movie for those of you just looking to make it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
So this is Spinal Tap.
Yeah, this was Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap for that movie show. Now we're moving on to our kind of general topic at hand, which we're going to play into this. Top 3.
Yep.
Music biopics. Not documentary, not rockumentary, but biopic.
Right.
I'm gonna defer to you. Go ahead.
Okay. First, I loved Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton was my favorite movie, not last year, but 2 years ago.
Yep.
I thought it should have won Best Picture. I thought it was that good. I absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fantastic. That was probably one of my favorite biopics of all time.
Made my list as well. Hit so many, like, it was one of those movies that by the end of it was 2.5 hours long, but I didn't want it to end.
Right.
Like, I wanted them to immediately dive right into just let these guys do the Tupac thing.
Right.
Because I saw All Eyes on Me, the Tupac movie,
Yeah.
and I was disappointed.
Yeah.
And I was upset at how disappointed I was.
I was very disappointed in that as well because Notorious was so good
Notorious
too.
was excellent.
Notorious was so good. Then Straight Outta Compton was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was hoping that All Eyes on Me was going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't.
I've heard, this could be just rumor, it could have just been because of the success of Straight Outta Compton, they wanted to sign it up and announce it. I've heard that the people behind Straight Outta Compton are working on basically a sequel, if you will, for the Death Row side of things.
Oh, cool.
So it will have the rise of Snoop Dogg and Tupac. And,
See, that'll be cool.
And that was like, once they got there and Straight Outta Compton, I was like, I want to like live in this world for a little while.
Well, and then the thing I was looking for the whole time is like, are we going to get to Eminem? Like, is Eminem going to show up in this movie?
50 Cent.
You know?
So that's something I've heard is being worked on.
That's
as far
cool.
as a timeline, I don't know. But I've heard that's being worked on, and I can't wait if that comes out. Because, Straight Outta Compton made my list as well. Right. Number 2, Liam.
I also loved Walk the Line.
That's a good one.
Walk the Line for Johnny Cash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big Johnny Cash fan, so that's why this is interesting.
I think the movie made more Johnny Cash fans.
Yeah.
I think people saw the movie and it was like, oh, now I'm going to go listen to his music.
Yeah. But I liked it. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really, really, really well done.
My second was, now there's been a million Elvis biopics.
Right.
And as a giant Elvis fan, I'm very critical of them.
Okay.
I'm very critical of mostly the actors who play him.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to go as so far as to do a movie and you're going to dig into this, it can't just be Elvis karaoke.
Right.
You can't show up with a cheap wig and sideburns and a $20 jumpsuit. Like, I need you to commit.
Right.
I need the production company to commit. But more than that, there's mannerisms that if you've ever seen like an Elvis an actual documentary on Elvis,
Right.
there's speech pattern and mannerisms. The one guy I've seen who has absolutely nailed Elvis speech pattern mannerisms was the actor who played him on the TV show Vinyl.
Okay.
It was one season. It was a great show. It's a sin that it got canceled. It was Martin Scorsese was behind it. It was all about like the 70s rock, 70s record label. There was a 70s record label. Bobby Carnival was the head of the label. And there was an episode where him and his partner, played by Ray Romano,
Right.
travel to Vegas to sell their jet. But while doing so, they also stay around because they want to sign Elvis to their label.
Okay.
And they go, and it's Vegas Elvis. And Ray Romano was obviously a fan of 50s Elvis and he gets drunk, starts talking a mess of shit about him. But what ends up happening is Bobby Carnival ends up having a in-hotel room meeting with Elvis. And he's sitting there in just like a velour jumpsuit type of thing. And it was the speech pattern that got me. Now, that's not the movie I'm going to talk about in a second.
Right.
But for me,
Right. That explains what you care about in
that
Elvis.
guy nailed it. Just the little stuff, it's not a secret. Elvis did pills,
Yeah.
a lot of pills. But this guy wasn't like sitting there with a handful of pills slugging them back. He did something that if you do a little research you'll find, but you got to really do research, where Elvis just kept the pills in his pockets in his jumpsuit, and he just kind of almost like he was biting his fingernail. Like he was almost secretive about it. And that was something he nailed. Again, the speech pattern, absolutely nailed.
Right.
But the movie, my second favorite music biopic, was from 1979. Is directed by John Carpenter.
Okay.
Yes, Halloween, Big
Yep.
Trouble Little China, John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And it starred Kurt Russell as Elvis Presley.
Oh, cool.
It is. It's very hard to find. It is now available on Blu-ray through Shout Factory, who, in our Criterion talk, which may or may not be on this version, does a fantastic job of not only cultivating movies, especially great cult classics almost,
Yeah.
but turning them into something so much more with the Blu-rays. The supplemental material is fantastic. They always get commentary tracks. I just picked up the 2-pack from Bill and Ted.
Right.
So it's got Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey, and a Wild Stallions guitar pick.
That's amazing.
Which is fantastic. They Live is one of the ones they did with it. And it's
Yes.
like they take these, like I said, very much cult classic movies, and they give them the treatment that us fans would love. Now, there is a higher price point to these, but, if you want that movie,
Right.
and like in this case with this Elvis movie, which is simply called Elvis from 1979, up until Shout Factory released it earlier this year, you could only get it on bootleg VHS.
Oh.
Like someone had to have taped it off television
In order
on
to have it.
VHS. It's like you could
Yeah.
search the corners of the internet and find it, but it was never great quality.
No.
But they took it, they cleaned it up, and I think it's great. I think it's a great representation of Elvis. Number one, Liam.
Another one of my favorite ones, and I don't know if this necessarily counts, but I love this movie. That Thing You Do.
You know what? I'm going to let you put that in there. It's not on my list, but it's along the same lines. CB4.
Okay, right. Yep.
So it's not really a biopic.
Right.
It's more in line actually with what we talked about with Spinal Tap. It's almost they're both. CB4 is more of a mockumentary.
Yeah, CB4 is more of a mockumentary. I don't think That Thing You Do never really claims to be a like a mockumentary or
No,
anything like
it's
that.
filmed as a film.
But it's the rise and fall of a one-hit wonder,
Correct.
you know, and it's Tom Hanks' directorial debut,
Right.
and it's so good. It's so good. Steve Zahn's in it.
I love Steve Zahn.
Steve Zahn is awesome.
Fun fact about that, I have that on Blu-ray, and it's the director's cut, which I don't know if you know about the cut scene featuring Tom Hanks and Howie Long.
No.
Did you know? Okay, Tom Hanks' character in the movie
Yes.
was gay, and
Oh.
Howie Long was his boyfriend.
Oh, I didn't.
And
yeah.
there's like I think a couple scenes, but there's one in particular where they're meeting the guys outside like a parking lot or something like that, and they're about to go off on a date.
Oh,
Tom Hanks and Howie Long.
weird.
And it's just a weird thing that got cut from the movie. Yeah,
That's-
there's a couple of the performances are a bit extended, which is nice, and you can really see how much care Tom Hanks put into the music.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. The best part of that movie is you listen to it the first time and you're so into the song, That Thing You Do.
The music was fantastic.
Right, but you sit there and you're so excited to hear it, but you play it over and over and over again that by the time the movie is over, you hate that song.
It really, like you said, it tells that story of that one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
It has a catchy song that's stuck in your head for a while in a good way, and then it's stuck in your head in the worst way possible.
Right. Oh, God.
Number one for me, The Doors.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oliver Stone's The Doors, starring Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison. I think he did a fantastic
I got a
job.
hot take. I think that movie is better than the band.
I would say, yeah.
Like, I don't think that the Doors are actually that good.
I like some, I was a Doors fan in high school.
Yeah.
And
As every teenager
pretty much,
is.
yeah. Every teenager who, grows up in the North Shore and buys a Camaro and has to play the Doors as loud as possible.
Right.
But as I've grown up and gotten older, and especially working on a classic rock radio station, there's a few songs I appreciate,
Yeah.
and they're definitely not the hits. And I don't want to be like that music snob guy, but their hits were not fantastic.
No.
And some of them, like Riders in the Storm, it's fucking long, dude.
Yeah.
I don't need 9 minutes.
No.
I don't need 9 minutes. But when it's put into this movie,
Right.
and you add Oliver Stone's weird acid trip-like directing,
Right.
fantastic. I'll watch that Riders on the Storm scene all day long.
Right. Right.
Another movie stacked to the gills with just amazing names and for actors. You got, of course, Val Kilmer playing
Yeah.
Jim Morrison. And I'm not going to go down everybody's character name, but Meg Ryan, Kyle MacLachlan, Frank Wiley, Kevin Dillon, of course, Johnny Drama.
Yep.
Yes. Michael Madsen, one of my favorite character actors of all time, Michael Madsen. Billy Idol's in it.
Oh, yeah.
In a semi-Billy Idol-ish role, but different enough.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, good job. Fair fox to you. God, this so, who was Andy Warhol? He was Crispin Glover
Yeah.
plays Andy Warhol in another just insane type of scene. That another one of those lines from the movie, actually by Michael Madsen, that always makes me giggle, is when they're leaving the party, the Warhol party, and Andy Warhol had given Jim Morrison a gold telephone.
Yeah.
That he said it will you can talk to God, and he says I've never picked. Andy Warhol's saying this. He says I've never picked it up because I've never had anything to say to him. And he gives the phone to Jim Morrison. He says maybe you'll have something to say to him. And they're walking down the street, and they're shattered drunk.
Yeah.
And there's a homeless guy sleeping in the snow, and Jim Morrison walks up and hands him the phone, and you hear off camera Michael Madsen's 8 packs a cigarette a day voice. Hey, God wants to talk to the bum. All right. And it makes me fucking giggle every single time. So that's my number one for music biopic. And to play into our giveaway here, the wildly mediocre prize closet is a 2-disc DVD of The Doors. The movie The Doors. So there you go. Same as every week here on the show. We got our wildly mediocre prize closet. I actually made a little graphic for us, which I thought
Very
was
fun.
very nice. Let me pull that up right now.
There is one more movie. There is one more movie that I just want to mention,
Okay.
and that's Almost Famous.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a very, very
and
good one.
that's along the lines of that thing you do.
Right.
But yeah, fantastic and kind of biopic-y if you want to count Cameron
because
Crowe.
it's about a guy who wrote for Rolling Stones.
Sure. So I'll count it.
Yeah.
I'll count it. But for the Wildly Mediocre Prize Closet, we are giving away a copy, a 2-disc copy of Oliver Stone's The Doors on DVD. And all you got to do is share this show. You have a... Well, I'm going to give you to the next episode, which you're going away.
Yes.
So we're probably going to skip next week.
Yes.
And then we're going to come back in December.
We should do something Chinese related.
Okay. But all you got to do is you have until the next show.
Right.
The next time we hit live on Facebook.com/ThatMovieShowTV, share this show as much as possible. The more you share, the more you could win. Share this version, which is, of course, the Facebook Live version. You can share the YouTube version when that goes up probably either tomorrow or Monday. And then, of course, share the NAI Pop one when that goes up Monday, which is the audio version of it. And share it to all forms of social media. That is how this works. And we will randomly pick a winner of all those shares.
Yes.
Very simple. Very cool. And, of course, follow all... Jesus, calm down.
I got excited about the Mediocre Prize Closet.
Wildly Mediocre Prize Closet. Of course, you can follow all of the different social media, all the different shows on NAI Pop, Songs for the Moment.
Yeah. Songs for the Moment, hosted by Glenn G-Rod Rodriguez of The Rant with Ant, where he basically takes a guest and they create a playlist of songs that are important to them. They most recently did, songs about Linkin Park. Him and Ant a couple weeks ago did songs about Linkin Park because Chester Benningfield had committed suicide, the lead singer for Linkin Park. So they ran through their favorite songs of Linkin Park and what they mean to them. And it's a really good show. It's only a half hour. It's definitely worth checking out.
So follow them. Of course, you can find their Twitter at Songs Podcast or at WhoIsGrod. You guys do Memory Mania, the New Age Insiders
themselves.
New
Age Insiders. We do Memory Mania. We don't know how often we're doing this. We're revamping, for anybody who's listening to this on the New Age Pop Network.
Sure.
You already know that we're revamping the Patreon. We're revamping kind of everything that we got going on. So we're going to be adding more shows into December when I come back from China. So we're going to be doing Memory Mania hopefully once a week, but we're not 100% sure yet.
So far, it's kind of felt like a monthly thing.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Keep it special.
Right. So we're thinking about going a little bit more, maybe every other week, so twice a month, but we'll figure out what we're doing over there.
Of course, Liam Stryker himself does Late Night Liam.
Yeah, the late night talk show version right after NAI Pop Live on NewAgeInsiders.com. You can tune into that somewhere around 9:30 when we wrap up NAI Pod, and then I try to have guests on or, talk about random, stuff that's going on in the world of pop culture, media, television, and all sorts of fun awesome with my co-host Bill Neville.
There you go. And, of course...
Bill Neville NAI.
There you go. At Bill Neville NAI. And, of course, New Age Insiders, the wrestling podcast, which is every Wednesday night at 8 p.m., correct?
Yep, live on NewAgeInsiders.com.
There you go. Follow at New Age Insiders. Follow at New Age Pop for the NAI Pop Network. Of course, you can follow Liam at Liam NAI. Let me see. You can follow myself at Mike Wendt across the board. Got to get my own shit in there, man. You guys also do the Twitch.
Yep.
You got your Twitch page.
Yeah, we're New Age Pop on Twitch, so go hang out with that. G-Rod plays a lot of Fortnite on there. I'll be joining up when I get back from China. Everything's kind of changing in the month of December, so be tuned into everything we got going on. And
I just noticed on Twitch, House of Hardcore, Tommy Dreamer's promotion did very well, so apparently Twitch likes wrestling.
Yeah, Twitch likes wrestling, so we're going to be looking to do a lot more content on Twitch. That's kind of what we're looking to make happen in 2018.
And, of course, tell your friends to like and share this Facebook page. It's facebook.com/ThatMovieShowTV, where this show will go live every time we go live. And I myself have my own Patreon. It's patreon.com/Mike Wendt, where the main reward, I guess is what they call them. Yeah. I'm still kind of getting the feel of it.
Yeah.
I do commentary tracks. So I sit down with either a WWE Network, which I have the first one up there. I did the Monday Night Raw where Mick Foley won his first world title in Worcester. I was actually in attendance, so I give a little personal anecdotes about the whole show.
That's pretty cool.
It's up there right now on patreon.com/Mike Wendt, so please contribute, subscribe, whatever they want to call it. Just help me out because Everything I make through the Patreon goes into this show, goes into that wrestling show, which we do on Nesson.com. Just goes into making this a better, more streamlined production.
Right.
I guess is what you would call it.
Yeah, I mean, fake it till you make it.
Exactly. We fake it till we make it. Very well said. For Liam Stryker, I am Mike Wendt, and this has been That Wrestling Show as soon as the computer wants to tell me. There it is.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.